The Neo Reality Entertainment brand expands with a relaunch of the Neo Reality Collective Pop Culture News Talk. Your host, Eric Brown, gives his insights and thoughts in the ever-expanding news world of comic books, professional wrestling, gaming, TV, and movies. Be sure to donate to the brand and keep up to date with additional content on YouTube channels such as Neo Reality Entertainment, NRE The Wrestleverse, and NRE Pop Culture Omniversa.
Today's edition of Neo Reality Collective is brought to you by Anchor.fm, a free distribution service podcasting hosting platform that allows you to record your podcast on your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and so much more. You can even make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor.fm app or go to Anchor.fm to get started today. Thank you and enjoy the episode. Hello and welcome to Neo Reality Collective, pop culture reviews and news talk. And we're going to do something special today. We're going to introduce the recently released first issue of The Trial of Magneto, a special series event, part of the Reign of X saga of the X-Men, focusing on the murder of the Scarlet Witch. Time for overly long, complicated backstory. So, let's go ahead and explain this. Wanda Maximoff, aka formerly known as the daughter of Magneto, the Scarlet Witch, and the original wife of Vision, yeah, that was a thing, in the comics at least, had, went ballistically insane in during Brian Michael Bendis' days as the lead architect of the Marvel Universe, and subsequently did a whole bunch of terrible things, led to the decimation of the mutant species, and only to be revealed that Doctor Doom somehow was responsible for this in the future, because of course that's a thing. And Vision, being an asshole, no longer forgave her, and now they're kind of friends, but now it's like there's still something going on at times, but the chances of them getting back together as a couple seems unlikely. But yeah, this is comic books, so they'll probably reverse this. And during the in between House of M and the events of House of X and Powers of 10, let's see, Avengers vs. X-Men happened. That led to a whole bunch of shenanigans where Wanda came back into the main continuity after being gone for some years, which is kind of telling. Let's see, along with that, Mormon Taggart was killed off, and then subsequently was revealed to be a golem in the retcon as part of the whole reincarnation cycle that Jonathan Hickman introduced in House of X issue 2. Yeah, this really is complicated. And then during an event during the Uncanny Avengers storyline by Alan Heinberg, if I recall correctly, it's revealed that Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver are in fact not the children of Magneto, and they are never been mutants. A retcon that was royally stupid and also negates a whole bunch of things that no longer make any sense, and instead say this is superhuman abilities, so she's safe. Which is problematic because, oh god, this was during the whole Fox Disney war when they were like, we can't have both. You have to, when the X-Men role were diminished and Scarlet Witch had to be saved because, well, if we lower the X-Men's reign of power in the Marvel Universe, then we have to also do it with Scarlet Witch, but she belongs to us, so we gotta retcon her origin and Quicksilver's, even though we're killing him off. And after that incident, Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver in the Marvel Comics universe kind of didn't really do anything after that when you think about it. Yeah, this is where things get kind of weird, if that was even possible. So, yeah, I don't even recall what they did afterwards. Quicksilver kind of disappeared, and Scarlet Witch was hanging out with Doctor Strange, and, well, that's pretty much it. But then House of X happened, and Then Scarlet Witch was villainized once more by the mutant race because suddenly out of nowhere everyone just decided to hate her again. Now I can understand if the X-Men didn't hate her, but you know, certain people who hated her still hate her for what happened in House of M and the decimation of their species. And there are a ton of stuff that goes on outside of the characters, that there is a living, breathing world. So it's understanding that there would be people who would naturally be quite upset. So yeah, and there's the resurrection protocols, resurrecting mutants who regain their powers by a trial by death combat, making the X-Men a hostage, making the X-Men a death cult, which is disturbing and also solidifies that they are more villainous than they ever were. I initially thought when I was hearing that there was an event called The Trial, but there was no establishment of who is actually on trial, I thought, oh, this is going to be the moment Scarlet Witch is finally addressed. Everything that's happened will be addressed. Scarlet Witch will be tried by the mutant people and will be demanded recompense, and this will lead to a potential Civil War event between Avengers and X-Men once more. Avengers and X-Men 2, and hopefully written by Jonathan Hickman. Well, that doesn't happen, and instead they do this other route, the trial of Magneto, because, you know, it's never been done before in the history of comics. But yeah, let's keep going with this. Yeah, like I said, this is a overly long, complicated backstory to explain. So the House of X empowers the 10 event ultimately makes the Marvel Universe establish that the Krakoa nation has declared Scarlet Witch an enemy of the state. The people of Krakoa do not like the Scarlet Witch, and Exodus has taken fun rights to poison the children's minds, calling her the Pretender, and how she is a liar and had deceived the mutant species, and the No More Mutants event. And subsequently, this led to hijinks ensuing, and, well, yeah. And there's still been this debate about Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver not being mutants anymore, because in the pages of Strange Academy, that Scarlet Witch did appear in at one point, she was and looks like they're going to cancel that because they're going to kill off Doctor Strange, so both characters are dead, so there's no teacher or staff involved anymore. Yeah, that's sad. But yeah, Scarlet Witch on this subject. So Quicksilver just kind of got forgotten about, like I said, and Scarlet Witch is just kind of there at this point. She's not really on the Avengers team, and she's not really affiliated as much as she used to be, even though she's like one of the most powerful characters in the Marvel Comics universe. But yeah, so the Krakoa nation hates her. She's a teacher now, and yeah. Then the Hellfire Gala happened, and they've been addressing, and then beforehand they were starting to address the Scarlet Witch, like Way of X was going to deal with the issue with the Scarlet Witch and what she did. Let's see, they were teasing that a lot. I don't remember what exactly happened, but they did say one of the things that would be addressed is the decimation event. The other thing was Scarlet Witch and the relationship with Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver's relationship with Magneto being addressed. And in Sword, the recent Marvel comics that eventually establishes the X-Men's fortitude into Space Frontier, and leading to them being the new tie-in events. Yeah, that's depressing. They go ahead and bring up how, you know, the Kree-Skrull alliance that was established in the Empire comics has also subsequently have the leader married to the son of the Scarlet Witch. I think his name is Wiccan. But yeah, so yeah, Wiccan doesn't know what happens in this book so far because he's in space dealing with the last annihilation wave. So get ready for that hijinks. So they don't know and what happened. And to make matters even more complicated is that Magneto invited the Scarlet Witch to the nation that absolutely hates her guts. However, in this issue of Sword, which was actually kind of awesome because Storm becomes the Regent of Sol because they terraform Mars in Planet-Size X-Men comics and renamed it Planet Araco, which is so uplifting. How the mutant people have taken over the solar system, and now Earth is no longer a factor into anything in the Cosmic Marvels universe. Damn. But yeah, after that whole Storm arrives to be revealed to be the regent of the Sol system as the regent of Mars and the voice of Sol, Magneto is quietly celebrating, having a drink of alcohol, talking to his helmet saying, "Here's to you and all you've wrought," only to reveal that Magneto invited Scarlet Witch to the Hellfire Gala. However, she doesn't want to go. She didn't want to come because she was afraid, and, you know, the fact that the entire nation is built on hating her and what she did to the decimation event. Yeah, something tells me that was a stupid idea. But what's done is done. She thinks she doesn't deserve to be shown, and she probably doesn't even think Magneto even wants to really see her. But Magneto admits that, yeah, as much as he clearly still doesn't like what happened that day, he still sees her as his daughter and always will see him as his daughter. So they hug, and then in way of X's tie-in, they go ahead and reveal that Magneto and Scarlet Witch dance. But there is one noticeable thing. Magneto had his helmet off, the thing that protects him from being mind controlled. And I must stress, this also takes place after X-Men 20, where Mystique has now vowed revenge to take down the nation of Krakoa for not resurrecting her wife, Destiny. Which, you know, will probably not factor into this at all. So after all of that explanation I just did, as best as I possibly can, you can begin a good chunk of it, because everyone seems to forget what the hell happened. Oh, not the Pretender stuff they were doing, not the whole thing, but they seem to not acknowledge certain things, and then they act like they know. And okay, this is basically this is the issue that starts things off. I have the art journal variant of the Scarlet Witch, which is an awesome illustration, and damn it, that's the only reason I got this book. I read it, and I'm still trying to figure out what the hell happened, because in terms of how the story's been presented and how the other comics are addressing it, it's kind of confusing, and how they seem to be doing some complete 180 where everyone suddenly was stupid. When I heard this, I was like, oh god, we're really doing the stupid route, where everyone suddenly gets the case of the stupids and doesn't really realize what they're doing. So, yeah. After this ad break, we're going to take a look at this and dig into the first issue of The Trial of Magneto. So, yeah, Scarlet Witch found dead, and yeah, hijinks ensue. We'll see you in a bit. We're back, everybody. Let's dig into things. Or my immortality is just a life sentence with a more pleasant veneer. Everlasting life is terrestrial purgatory. Wanda Maximoff, years ago. Right, we're getting the text thing. So, yeah, she's dead, so hijinks will ensue. Ooh. The Trial of Magneto, Issue 1, Dial M for Wanda. From parties to funerals. The Hellfire Gala was meant to be a joyous occasion where mutants and non-mutants alike came together to celebrate Krakoa, but when the night ended in murder, everyone is left asking, who killed the Scarlet Witch, and where is Magneto? X-Factor has been called in to investigate the death of Wanda Maximoff using the detailed forensics work to uncover the precise moments leading up to her attack and murder. So this issue features a ton of characters, but the main characters are the members of X-Factor, Magneto, Polaris, Wolverine, Duncan, and Scarlet Witch, who is dead. And please note, the issue does say that Jonathan Hickman is the head of X in this, but let's be real, I'm pretty sure he has very little involvement. And this story is written by Lee Williams, who was the writer of X-Factor. So, Northstar goes ahead and comments on the situation because, you know, he's perfectly the right guy to this. Oh, God. This is gonna be tough, isn't it? We're in for one. Okay. What have you got? Right here. This is where the struggle started. Rachel, can you chrono skim him to verify? Rachel does so and saying, yeah. That is, if it's alright by our X-Men and X-Force babysitters, of course. So yeah, Wolverine, Cinch, and Domino are here to be basically babysitters to watch the whole thing. Northstar, we're here to help. X-Force was working event security here for the Hellfire Gala the night she died. X-Force was working event security here for the Hellfire Gala while a woman was murdered here. And investigating deaths is what X-Factor does. Mind removing the stick from your butt, bub? The stick stays. Quiet. I need all the ride-alongs to stay quiet. I have enough chronology to muck out as it is while you are helping and even more on top of I have to dig out first. Now you can continue tracking from the first struggle. Alright, from here. Then, that's better. Here. She fought free, started to run. How far? Managed 2-3 running steps east before being grabbed again, this time from behind. Then another struggle. Yeah, got beat on her event sequence now. Oh, yes, I can just barely see her, but there's still way too much temporal residue muddying up the view between me and actually seeing who's got her yet. That's how the grass gets torn up here? Wolverine, aka X-23, says she uses her claws to basically be a pointing director stick. Yeah, she was kicking and digging her heels in. Wanted to make things hard for her attacker. Good for her. Rachel? Yeah, I can confirm. What's up? You look more like yourself, but somehow more so than usual. None of this adds up. Why wasn't she using her magic? How does one get the jump on the sorcerer who controls all reality? What kind of monster would it take to bring her down of all, let alone like this? She's the Scarlet Witch! Yeah, how about you asked us that? Yeah, you want to explain that? You covered this death up for a while. Well, yeah, I think it took like a month to finally have this comic come out, and she was already dead, and Marauders and X-Force brought this up, and it was like, oh, she's dead, and even the new X-Men by Gary Duggan brought it up. I'll get to that when I can. Obvious sign of struggle. We know, boy, and I extensively cataloged them in my pathology report already. X-Force is just here to review X-Factor's findings, Prodigy. You don't mind, do you? I kinda do. So when are forensic autopsies a spectator sport? Can we please keep this rolling? And go a lot faster, y'all stop interrupting it. Her gloves are torn and there's blood under her nails. Likely the attackers. No, that's her blood. Stuff here under her nails, same stuff as all the rest here. I smell her blood. Starting here, only hers. So it goes in transitions between the investigations looking at the crime scene and the transition of investigating the death autopsy report. She was dragged backward by the neck. One arm hooked around her throat, and the attackers was shoving hard against the back of her head, like this. She couldn't breathe. The tissue damage right here, that's what that means. So she was using both hands to pull at. She was fighting so hard to remove the airflow obstruction crushing her windpipe that her fingernails ripped the back and she began bleeding from her nail beds. Yeah, thanks. But she was clawing at the murder weapon, not her attacker, because there's no biological trace evidence that isn't hers. What else do you smell, son? You missing something? There's something inorganic. Wanda's hands were bound behind her back, but there's no one doing it, so it's either magic or metallic. Polaris comments. So both the autopsies and the investigators do their reports, and Polaris is now. I'm not going to comment the entire scene of this because it's a 2-page spread and with very, 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 very many dialogues. But Polaris is frowning heavily and then tells her X-Men comrades to give her a head start. So, Polaris, the other daughter of Magneto. How do I say this quite delicately? Polaris, I would like to mention that your nation is built on hating the Scarlet Witch. Allow me to reemphasize that again for those who clearly did not understand this concept in the actual book. But, yeah, here's what I'm just gonna say. How do I say this delicately? Polaris in X-Men #1 by Gary Duggan and Pepe Larraz goes ahead and says, I have something to confess, to which Cyclops says, if you murdered the Scarlet Witch, don't. So, yeah. yeah, she doesn't have an ethical leg to stand on because she and Cyclops made jokes about killing the Scarlet Witch. Our heroes, ladies and gentlemen! So, yeah, after this investigation, Polaris goes to leave to confront, no doubt, Magneto, because clearly no one else could have done this. I'm like, it's not like you have an island filled with multiple mutants who have the ability to warp stuff and bend stuff, even if it was metal, that even without magnetism. I'd be like, that would just be stupid. But yeah, Magneto is handling this quite well. Screaming at them, fools! And throwing a metallic chair that belongs to Apocalypse. So, yeah. And then Exodus, the guy who I must stress was preaching about killing the Scarlet Witch multiple times, about how she's the devil, and the boogeyman, or woman in this case, goes ahead and says, at least make an attempt to comport yourself with decorum, Magneto. I speak with this promising tone of arrogance. And Mr. Sinister, in his infinite wisdom, comments, look, she's human, she's hated, and she's dead. Why are we even bothering to debate the matter? Because you broke the second law. Murder no man. The first one was make more mutants, which means we got prepared for the mass orgy still. And, you know, the Scarlet Witch was an Avenger. So, and part of Doctor Strange's little group he's doing. So you might piss off certain people. Even Magneto points this out. Because you're all willfully making a choice to endanger the Krakoan experiment. An offense I find especially egregious when it is otherwise so easily corrected. And Mr. Sinister just grins at this because he's just happy finding himself entertaining at this. Where's Xavier saying, Eric, you are somewhat correct on one score. We do have a choice to resurrect the Scarlet Witch. An entirely unique choice at that, one not afforded to any other, seeing as Wanda and Pietro are the sole non-mutants to deceive Cerebro long enough for there to be actual backups. Very, very old backups, but yes, they are there. Okay, so this is where I'm just going to bring it up. So the editor of the books came out and said, yes, she walked through it. Could she have deceived Cerebro to be a more modern backup? Yes. So I'm just going to ask this certain question and allow me to point this out. How does Cerebro get fooled into thinking that Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver are in fact not mutants? How does it get tricked? Is Cerebro living? If it is, I never knew this, so sue me if I got that wrong, but yeah, Magneto is naturally pissed, demanding the resurrection of his daughter, and no one said, yeah, I'll get to that in a second. Yeah, and then they mentioned how there's old backups of her, which means that this could be House of M Scarlet Witch, which would be detrimental to the nation. However, if you find the subject at hand too difficult to discuss, then we will simply proceed straight to the vote and no longer entertain your debate tactics. We will get nowhere with purgatory and threats in here. You seem very interested in the Scarlet Witch's resurrection, Magneto. One might begin to suspect you have more ulterior motives. I have been told X-Factor is closing in on their prime suspect as we speak. Are they now? Interestingly enough, only one person has noticeably evaded X-Factor's investigation attempts at every turn, and here he is, aggressively campaigning for the victim's resurrection. Why is that, Eric? Covering your tracks? Why is Xavier and Magneto not thinking to themselves, wait, do you think Scarlet Witch could have something to do with it? Do you think Mystique has something to do with this? Like, she could have dressed up like me, took on my appearance, and then twisted and killed Scarlet Witch herself, using tactics and manipulation, and oh my god, I'm thinking too much in this, aren't I? I know this is the first issue, but like, it seems like everyone forgot what's going on. And someone in the background says, Mystique, that's enough. Yeah, how dare you try and come up with contradictory statements? X-Factor Forensic Pathology Unit is concluding Wanda's autopsy at this very moment with the X-Men in attendance. What? As a transparency measure, the autopsy is being conducted in the X-Factor Corpse Garden, where there is an operating theater. And Magneto points out an actual good point when he says, you allowed multiple potential suspects with supernatural abilities to remain present at the time of an autopsy. Have you all lost your minds? Someone could be tampering with the evidence. Yeah, he has a point. I'm like, they did make a joke just right after her death that, hey, let's make a joke that she's dead. And naturally, Emma Frost, who actually out of all people have at least some reason to hate the Scarlet Witch more so these days, says, sounds like a convenient excuse for whoever finds themselves accused. Much to Magneto's pissed off attitude, with Xavier screaming, enough. Those in favor of a non-mutant resurrection for the Scarlet Witch, Kitty Pryde, aka the Red Queen, goes ahead and votes in favor. Look, all I know is Krakoa resurrection isn't exact. It's art, not science. We have no right to deny resurrection privileges from someone when we have every means of providing it, and nothing to lose by doing so. And Emma Frost, being the cold, heartless bitch that she is at times, says, we finally be losing a war, finally free of Wanda. Okay, you want to know the sad thing is, I think since she was the one that wanted to, quote, put her down, her exact words, during the House of M event in the first issue, I kind of get that why she would do this. She probably hates the Scarlet Witch more than anybody here, save for Mystique probably, because the Scarlet Witch depowered a whole bunch of mutants, a lot of them being children, and Emma Frost won't admit this. She'll say to herself that she cares about the children, she cares about the young mutants. Even she got pissed at Xavier when they couldn't, when one of the rock mutant based characters were killed off, and you know the resurrection was messed up in the Ten of Swords event. So yeah, she does care about the children, so naturally I can understand why she would be pissed. Now, other characters like Nightcrawler, I can imagine wanting to bring her back as well, which he does. And Xavier mentions that there are 3 votes in her favor, so they lost. And those opposed are Storm, which is something I'm a little concerned about that they did this, and indicating Xavier also voted against this. Sinister, Exodus, and Mystique also voted against this, along with Sebastian Shaw and Emma Frost. Sinister, Exodus, and Mystique. Okay, do I even need to explain why they would vote against bringing her back? But Mr. Sinister's probably just that guy's like, this is just too entertaining. I'm very flamboyant. And Exodus is, well, the guy who wants to continue the spread of the boogeyman. And this Xavier gives out a statement. Then it's settled. The Scarlet Witch's closest friends and Avengers associates will be immediately informed of her murder. And then we are to taking the appropriate actions to seek justice on her behalf, and when they may come to collect her remains. Eric, I am very sorry for your loss. We cannot resurrect the Scarlet Witch. You can. You just simply refuse. You are all suddenly choosing to honor the same arbitrary human limitations we have long abandoned for ourselves. And then we get a scene that I really hated. Magneto starts to crush Xavier's skull that is wearing the Cerebro helmet. Remember I said how Hickman, I feel, is not really involved in this as much as they're probably trying to say he is? Yeah. I know Magneto cares about Wanda, but this was the wrong way to handle this. I get he's angry. I get he's pissed. If he really didn't kill her, then yes, I get why he would why he wants her back. But at the same time, I would like to state for the record that why is he doing this to Xavier when they have a very, very good alliance going for them with more Metagra, and they should be focusing more on investigating instead of reacting like crazy people. I mean, oh god. Remember, House of X concluded with Magneto saying that everything between them is put to rest. We will work together now. Everything is settled. You have my word. And he immediately breaks it in this issue. 2 years in, and we've already broken the oath. Oh god. So, yeah, he starts to do that, knowing that he inadvertently might be killing more mutants than he's saving with this action. Since they do have multiple helmets I can get, he probably thinks that, but killing Xavier would probably be a stupid idea. And further shows the distrusting alliance going on. So, naturally, screaming out stop happens, and Nightcrawler comes in to block Magneto's pathway, and Kitty Pryde, naturally being the badass that she is has her hands through Magneto's head and says, stand down or I'll peel the brainstem right out of your spinal cord like a Twizzler. Damn. And Xavier takes off his helmet, gasping for breath, and yeah, this is, I get the feeling there's more to this scene, that he's horrified at what Magneto just did than actually doing it, considering what they know behind what's going on the scenes. And Magneto just says, this is a choice you all are making, and it is the wrong one. And that is still our mistake to make. This behavior is beneath you, Magneto. You forget yourself. You are not the most powerful mutant in the room anymore. Mystique then makes her comments. Look at you, married in your methods of force like a tired old fighting dog. So accustomed to bludgeoning a path toward whatever it is you want that now you've lost sight of the fact that not all will be amenable to your bullying. And then he just goes ahead and sneers at everybody, saying, bullying? Another hopelessly antediluvian human concept. Although I suppose even an anthill appears massive to them, hideously small. I've carved myself out of a torture to stand tall upon the ruins of my subjugation. I made a choice. Let's see how well time will test yours. So Magneto storms out, enters this crowd, and they're partying. The mutants of Krakoa are partying, screaming out to the death of the Pretender. Yeah, woo! Chug, 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 chug. Yeah, that beef dead. Hey, Magneto, I know she was like your daughter and all, but are you glad she's dead? And Magneto's naturally pissed. Probably. And yeah, we even see the kids that were shown in the X-Men comic side of Hickman stuff, where they're also cheering, and they have a boogeyman version of the Scarlet Witch painted with an X on the head. Magneto is trying his best probably not to kill everybody. Then North Star arrives and confronts Magneto. Oh, what is the meaning of this? Ah, I see. You think I killed Wanda. We need you to come with us, Eric. Now. Magneto is Magneto and says no. I don't believe I will. And prepares to fight them to the death. Meanwhile, in the Boneyard, we meet with Tommy, aka Speed. Tommy? Hey, Kyle. I couldn't leave her all alone. I'm not sure you should be in here all alone, sweetie. No, I mean, look at her body. What? I don't know. She's in there somewhere. I called my brother, but there's been some sort of space emergency. I haven't been able to get in touch with him. See current issues of Sword and Guardians of the Galaxy! Oh god. As everything around them gets encompassed in plant and organics. Billy gets magic stuff. He would know what this is. I don't think he knows my mom's dead. Meanwhile, at the Krakoa Gate in Manhattan, and Captain America plucks a blue flower from the portal. Pretty, sort of. What do you think it means? I don't know, but it's giving me the willies bet. Why did you call us and tell us this to meet here, Vision? This is a prescriptiously rare everbloom blossom. It is impossible to grow in low altitude in tropical climates. This is a native to Krakoa, I take it? So you gathered us here because you're excited to show us an endangered plant? No. I summoned you because this is Wanda's favorite flower, and I've been told she never returned from the Hellfire Gala. By who? By me. Thank you for meeting me, Vision. Friends. I want to tell you in person. I'm afraid I have terrible news. And he reveals that, yeah, Scarlet Witch is dead, much to Vision's angst and anguish. The same Vision that broke up with her broke up the relationship in the issue 0, which was a thing in Avengers and X-Men, and never wanted to get back together with her. So, and then he modeled his robotic wife after her in some ways. Yeah, this is creepy a little bit, and this was during the Tom King run, and there was a plan to do a sequel to address certain things, but really it does more look like that Vision went crazy just as much as Wanda did. Meanwhile, we cut to the Grove in Krakoa, and Magneto's kicking everybody's asses. You never learn. Nah, just never gave a shit at what you did to me. Now, them on the other hand, and Draken goes ahead and stabs Magneto in his shoulders. There's kids these days, huh? And Magneto gets commented by Draken saying, "No adamantium to manipulate inside me." And Magneto stabs him where he brings up this important point. I don't require metal inside you in order to make you suffer. There's more than enough metallic ore in Krakoa soil for that. And he shoves him away. North starts catching him. An attempt to use my powers against me. Cinch, is it? Show yourself, Power Lynch. Everyone take cover! And yeah, so Magneto starts raining spikes everywhere of the soil, of the iron ore in the Krakoan soil. Well, where Jean Grey, Marvel Girl, goes in and performs a protective bubble around them as Wolverine gets stabbed in the back because he has a regenerative healing factor. Let me finish them. So yeah, something is stabbing Magneto's powers, revealing to be Polaris. If you're going to borrow my powers to wield against me, then come out and face me like a man. Or in this case, woman. Okay. Cease this foolishness, daughter. Is that what you told Wanda? Oh, god damn it. You made a joke about her death. Stop acting like you have the moral high ground here, Polaris. And you're an awesome character too, and you did this. And then Magneto commits more character assassination to an extent where he just says this bullshit line. You know, you asked me once how I would describe your personality and assumed that I had no answer when I was merely biting my tongue. I now believe it was an error on my part to spare your feelings at the cost of your grasp on reality. Because if you were to ask me again, I would tell you the truth you so desperately lack an understanding of. That you are unhinged and inconsistent at your best. Asshole! Like, that's not Magneto, is it? It's someone pretending to be Magneto and using his powers, but I am hardly believing that's Magneto. I mean, I know his relationship with the kids weren't really the best. Like, he wasn't exactly Father of the Year, but yeah, this seems a little insane compared to his past treatment. Anyways, he goes ahead and inadvertently stabs Polaris in the shoulder. And Polaris, with tears streaming down her face as the X-Men hold to her and prepare to fight again, screams out, "How many women is it now you once claimed to love who all perished during your brief window of affection and attention? You leave a trail of dead wives and dead daughters behind in your wake. Breaking people down and make them more biddable has always been your modus operandi, father. You tried to break me too, tried to rearrange the pieces of me back into your perfect daughter. But you failed! Your efforts backfired and you only made me stronger! Is that what happened, Wanda? Your efforts at making her more biddable to your machinations failed, so you cleaned up after yourself? You killed her? And I'm going to just say this again. Stop acting like you're all saints here. You built a nation hating her as one of your core foundations. So Magneto fires his optic blast and prepares to fire at Magneto, only for Magneto's helmet to drop and suddenly disappear. What the? Where did he go? And Magneto gets his ass kicked by Quicksilver, with Northstar stopping him. Son? Quicksilver, enough! I always knew it would be you, Magneto! I always knew it would be you who killed her! Just like you always talked about doing! I should know! I've been gone for God knows how many years! I think this is my first major appearance back in the comics! Rachel, help me get Magneto to the healing gardens. She was only ever broken in your eyes, Magneto! But she was just unwell! Oh, god damn it. I must stress that in Bendis' viewpoint of the world, Scarlet Witch went crazy due to mental illness. And even they bring this up, but like they seem to forget that Dr. Doom kind of had a help in that. My sister, she was a very sick woman. She needed some help, some compassion for once. Pietro, I know. It's my job to protect her, and I failed. How could I fail? How could I not be around for the last several years when our retcon happened? I'm a failure. So we cut to later in the Healing Gardens hospital. Dr. Rios said healer or elixir would be able to wake Magneto up whenever X-Factor returns for questing, but he's stable for now. Comatose, you mean? Quicksilver was a heartbeat away from killing him. Out of his damn mind, rage and grief. I should know. I'd go ahead and have that every single day. I call it Adamantium Rage. You think Northstar intervened, or Charles would have to have another Maximoff murder incident to inform the Avengers. And then they go ahead and bring up this obvious point. Genie, can't you just take a peek under the hood to find him doing it? Why delay the inevitable? That depends on if the writer wants to do this, because the story would immediately end and we need to stretch this out for like about 5 issues. Oh, well, no, that's the obvious answer we could have given, but you know, we have to make up some bullshit explanation on what his subconscious is up to, because right now that be what's at the forefront of his mind. The id's a lawless place. I need Emma's help. I'm sure that can be arranged. And Magneto is screaming out, "No! No, it can't. A nightmare can't confess." When was that? Could you just peel at his head, take the information out, and, you know, restore him back later? And then you can make it lie, because that's what the X-Men are nowadays, a bunch of deaf cultists. And yeah, also, why is Magneto screaming in grief and anger and nightmarish hells if he's the killer? Well, we're not going to explain that? Oh, we're not going to explain how we could just end this in like 2 issues, who's instead of the stretched out 5 when this could have all ended. In fact, this is the thing that bugged me about this whole thing. Magneto, I know this is hard for you to do, but just take off your helmet and just show it. Now, I could somewhat get if the reason why he doesn't want to do that is because they haven't told the rest of the mutant nation Mormon Taggart's warning about how they'll always lose, except this might be the chance they could change it. But at the same time, that's Hickman's job to do that, not anyone else's, in my opinion. But I'm pretty sure they could, like, hide that. I'm pretty sure Xavier could, like, do it himself to confirm it, since, you know, he's the closest to Magneto possible. All that isn't Polaris that could read his mind and omit certain details from it. Oh, we can't do that? That would make the issue last about, the series will only be about 2 issues long, and we could have just made this part of the Hellfire Gala collection and just make it 2 issues? Who's as a Hellfire Gala Aftermath? Oh, now we need money? Okay. So we cut to the Green Lagoon, Krakoa. So yeah, we get some narration. Grief is a knifing wound. Gale force pain slams into you like with a shocking blast. Loss levels you. You were not prepared. After a time, you begin to right yourself. I'm healing, you may think. I'm moving on. So Quicksilver arrives with former members of the Brotherhood of Mutants when it first started out to simpler times, the good old days, and they get drunk. This isn't bad. How could this happen? It's not fair. Stop breaking my glassware, Toad. Get out. But then comes a moment in which you unexpectedly recall all that has been lost. And with this, in bursts of habitually efficient new wind, one that slices cleanly through all the flesh protective layers you've managed to build back up around your healing heart. It carves open a promise of a scar and leaves you gasping for air in one cold swooping gust. It leaves you again. To Wanda, may her weary, troubled soul finally be at peace. You may have to repeat this process several more times before realizing that you simply must stay down. This is just how life will be from now on. And we get more narration from a very mysterious character, only to reveal that, oh no, it's the Scarlet Witch. My winds howl in the millions. Scarlet Witch awakens, dressed in all white, with a cut in her chest, revealing a hooded killer stabbing her. I am the Scarlet Witch. So yeah, she's stabbed in her abdomen area and is bleeding profusely as her costume changes from white to glowing red. To her bright red attire, as a bunch of forest, eyes, and pyramids suddenly sprout, and I am intimately acquainted with grief. Every single person I've ever harmed, I grieve for them all. I ache for what has been lost, what I've caused, a tempest of anguish. See you next round. And now I grieve for myself, because I was killed. I died, and so our comic ends, with Scarlet Witch blooming out puddles and puddles of blood-red flowers with a Garden of Eden sprouting, and with her final narration, I know that I am not dead. With a final text illustration saying, with forests and trees, where am I? Thus ending the issue. This is a very wordy story, and the character motivations and actions seem very contradictory, and powers are contradictory challenged in this. I'm still kind of confused of what I'm supposed to take away from this, but yeah, the artwork is good in a lot of places, except in some. I feel like when they're trying to get faces down right, when they're trying to be twisted and angry, looking like their faces on the verge of convulsing. But yeah, and the dialogue is very wordy and trying to be more than it actually is. And like I said, this series really could have lasted 2 issues. They could have just made this a Hellfire Gala aftermath story and just resolved it in 2 issues so then we could get all ready for Inferno. Because, let's be real, there's like several suspects and all they have to do is just open Magneto's helmet and say, hey Magneto, can we read your mind and confirm? Yes, story's over. Then we just focus on the last issue, just focusing on who the killer is. And you could expand that to like 60 pages and then you could probably get a complete set for the Hellfire Gala trade collection. But that would make sense, so we can't have that. Yeah, I don't think they can be justified for 5 issues. The story could end immediately right here, or end in 2 issues, I feel, and there. We could just call this X-Men the murder of the death of the Scarlet Witch, because that's what this is. The trial of Magneto, except we have no evidence to prove that Magneto really did it, even though it's like because, let's be real, anyone could wear the cape. Anyone just could go into his place, break in, take his gear because he's wearing all black for some reason. I think it's part of his whole I am Magneto, master of the Edgelord, and whatnot. And I'm just like, oh, god damn it. So yeah, we're kind of stumped on this, I think. We're gonna have to see how this series goes before I could give a definitive answer if this series is even good or not in the end. I think the problem when you have to say that, when you have to like, this series depends on, it needs to have an overall good ending in order to justify all the craziness that happens in this one issue alone. I think that's a kind of an indictment on it, but yeah, there's the breaks on that. So, this was Neo Reality Collective, signing out, and stay tuned for the final word from our sponsor, and take care, everybody, and here's our outro. Have a good day.
Be sure to donate to the brand and keep up to date with additional content on YouTube channels such as Neo Reality Entertainment, NRE The Wrestleverse, and NRE Pop Culture Omniversa.